So that's where I wish there was more money for the adults,
Yeah,
so I could come help the adults and make them fall in love with movement, so that then the kids will.
I would agree. Yeah, there's like definitely a big need for all of our people, like adults on the res, to have like more programming because literally there's like nothing for them on the reserve. And it is good that we have youth programming now. But I would agree there's almost next to nothing for like adult men. And like, what do you do when you have no programs, no activities, right? Or on the res and find a way to kind of cope with all of the trauma and dysfunction that's there.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
So I guess we can, if you want to just do an introduction,
sure.
who you are, where you're from, and what you're about, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So my name is André Bear. I'm Plains Cree from Treaty 6 territory. I grew up both on Little Pine First Nation and in the hood of Saskatoon. So this is my home. I'm actually registered in Canoe Lake Cree Nation in northern Saskatchewan. I was raised by a single mother who was a residential school survivor. We grew up here and on the reserve with my two older sisters. And I lived a life of poverty and struggle, just like everybody that I know who grew up in the hood in Saskatoon. And then from there, as I found my culture when I was about 18 years old, I was already kicked out of four
Mhm.
different high schools. Like almost every high school in Saskatoon, I was kicked out of Mount Royal, Bedford, Newtana. I was kicked out of a school in northern Alberta. And it wasn't until that I kind of started going to ceremonies, my first sweat lodge and Sundance, that my life just like completely changed. And I went from like going straight to prison or whatever to it was like 3 years after my first ceremony that I was given an appointment from the Trudeau government to advise one of his cabinet ministers in Ottawa. So I was 21 years old. I was an advisor to a cabinet minister, and I was helping lead the implementation of one of the TRC calls to action that
Mhm.
involved like youth programming. And so that's when I went to university, got my degree in education. I actually became a high school teacher at one of the schools I was kicked out of as a kid. I was Mount Royal, and from there went to law school, moved to Toronto and worked for a law firm there. And then I opened my own consulting practice where I help nations develop laws that protect children and keep them out of the provincial child welfare system, because I'm a product of that system. Remember the day I was taken from my mom's arms, and so I really want to make sure that doesn't happen anymore for our people. And so my job is to basically develop laws that give the nations the power to keep their children at home and the resources and supports necessary to ensure that they have what they need, like a healthy home, food, water, clothing, education, healthcare, love, all of that. So I work specifically for First Nations across the country. And yeah, I don't really have a life of my own. It's all just traveling and being in community, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, that sounds difficult.
Yeah, it can be. It's nice, like, to be with youth and young people. I feel like they kinda give me life and
Right,
make it more lighthearted, or if I'm with elders, then they make me feel really grounded and teach me a lot, and yeah, so it's a lot of work, but it's the most soul fulfilling thing, like, I could ever think of, so I'm very, like, happy and grateful even though I'm exhausted, like, every day.
right.
Yeah.
What is like what is I guess like the hardest boundary to like when you're going and fighting for these communities? Is there something that's pretty similar anywhere you go,
Like the most difficult struggle that our people face.
or just like maybe not even struggle, but like with finding help or getting help or creating help, those boundaries that like make the process slower or harder or not as easy to put those systems in place.
Yeah, so it's the systems themselves that's the issue.
Right.
And it's like that for every First Nation, like across the country. You see it every day that people are saying, oh, this chief and council's corrupt. They're stealing
Right.
money. It's the entire system that is corrupt, and it was actually built that way. And until we understand fully that this is not our system, then we're always going to be facing poverty and trauma and dysfunction because that's how these systems were created. The Indian Act was intentionally built to keep us in poverty, to keep us
Mhm.
in trauma and dysfunction and addictions. That is the law that governs our people right now. And when it was originally created, it was actually created to kill us through residential schools, like flat out genocide. If it couldn't kill us, then it wanted to assimilate us into Canadian like Canadian culture, whatever. And so that colonial policy is what governs our people today. So we can't expect to be governed by that colonial law and then want a better life for our people. So until we
Mhm.
wake up and see that this system is like really harming us, then we're going to see things get worse. And that's the really sad reality of it. It doesn't matter who you elect in these positions on chief and council. Um, these systems are still causing harm, and they will continue to until we find a different system.
Mm. Yeah, I guess that's the conversation I always hear is, we need to get rid of this, but then we can't get rid of this. If we do, this will happen, but we can't move forward without it, and it's just like and I don't know enough about it
Yeah,
to really even have a say.
hmm,
But that's always when I'm out at communities or hearing people speak about it, it seems like there's so much division
right.
on what
Yeah,
the Indian Act even is doing,
it was intentionally created that way. So the way the Indian Act was created was there is no equalization of power. So you have your chief and council system, and the only laws that they can enforce are provided by the Indian Act. The Indian Act is actually what governs and what has full control over our people. And when it comes to enforcement of a law, chief and council has no ability to enforce any laws on the reserve unless they have an amazing relationship with the RCMP, and maybe like the RCMP might enforce something on the reserve, but 90% of the time it's never going to happen. So imagine trying to govern a people but never being able to enforce any of the laws that are
Mm.
there. So when people say that like it's chief and council's fault, in my mind, it's Canada's fault. It's the colonial
Right.
system that these people are working in. It doesn't matter if you're the best chief in the world. What are you going to do when you can't enforce a single law on your reserve to make
Mhm.
things better? Imagine if Canada couldn't enforce any laws in the country. What would happen? This place would be anarchy. It would be poverty. It would probably look like a reserve, right?
Mm.
And so it's being able to enforce our laws on the nation is essential. Without that, we have no governance. And that's how we've been doing things since 1876, since the Indian Act was created. And so until we have the ability to make our own laws and enforce them, we're not going to see things change too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's such a. It's funny because we were just talking about like leadership trickling down, and then yeah, like Canada, it's Canada's fault.
Yeah, it is Canada's fault, and I'm not saying that our people should ever say it's Canada's fault and then never take responsibility for our
Definitely.
own lives, for our own actions. I believe that we have the complete power to take complete control over our own lives and to
Right.
make things better no matter what. However, in the broader scope of things, it's a lot easier to live a better life when you're not bound by this law that has been in place for 150 years trying to kill your people. So once that law is gone and we are living by our own laws that we have lived by since time immemorial, because never forget, before Canadians were ever here, our laws have been here since time immemorial. We follow the laws of the land for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and those laws work, right? And so it's about returning to our natural law and our original worldview before violent settler colonialism ever came and tainted our people, and really living by those laws. And so for me, that's my job now, is to go into communities, to sit with our people, and to start to uncover what those laws are in our own languages, in our creation stories, in our ceremonies, in our songs, in our cultures, and being able to awaken that spirit with the nation. And if it's possible, find ways of bringing those laws into a modern context.
Mm.
How do we govern using those traditional laws today? Right. So that's kind of my job and what I, yeah, what I've been doing.
Yeah. It's super interesting. It's such a the whole I like how your mind works because when I even with boxing or with business or even parenting, I always I try and explain to people that like a leader has responsibilities,
Right.
so the higher up you are on the chain and the more responsibility you have, the less rights you get,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
But then also, as you were saying, even though the leader has the most accountability, the most responsibility, individually, you still have all the accountability too,
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you explain that? Even though the most accountability is on the leaders,
Right.
it's also individually, you have the most accountability on yourself to make sure you're doing good. What if the situation never changes? Are you just gonna fall apart?
Mm.
Because now your happiness is coming from external places,
Exactly.
right? And that's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah. Our people talk about sovereignty, right? Like we are sovereign. But in my mind, you're not sovereign the moment you allow for chief and council to be the ones for all
Mm.
your problems, right? If you're depending on them, then like, how are you sovereign? You're sovereign when you take care of yourself, your own life, you take full responsibility for your mind, your heart, your body, your parents, your family, your kids, like
Right.
your people. Like to me, that is true sovereignty, is when you don't make excuses or allowed anybody from the outside kind of interfere with your own like freedom.
Mm. So how do you go from getting kicked out of every school you're in to the situation you're in? Like, where do you make that? It wasn't until you were 18 you started going to ceremony,
Yeah,
and then just something there
yeah,
clicked inside of you.
yeah, yeah. So there was a couple of things. When I was 15 was my first spiritual awakening. I was getting bullied in northern Alberta, and I ended up macing a school bus, and a whole bunch of kids got hurt. And they bear maced me. I was kicked out of school. I was placed under police conditions, and I was on a reserve that I've never been to before. So while I was there, it was like very like a culture shock for me. And the guys that jumped me on the school bus, they would like come and torment me at my house whenever like my mom wasn't there. And so like I slept with a shotgun. Like I was like tormented at 15 for like 3 months, and I started to have night terrors. And it got so bad I couldn't sleep at night because I was just like, I would dream of them like coming in to kill me. And so one day I told my mom, like, if you don't do anything, I'm going to run away. You're never going to see me again. And she told me that she was going to try to get me some help. And so this was my first experience with a medicine man. And she took me to Edmonton when we went and seen this guy, and he ended up like praying for us. And when we left, I was upset because I was like, I don't feel like that really helped me at all. And
Mhm.
me and my mom stopped at this store. It was Value Village, it's like our favorite store. And I remember being in the parking lot, and she was inside. And I was sitting out there in the van, and it was raining, and it was dark outside, and I was looking up, and I was just crying and just like so upset that like not even like our culture could help me. And when I was looking at the street light, I seen it went white, and then it was like I seen into my future, and I seen myself as an older man. I was an adult. I knew that I was very wealthy. I knew that I was like very successful. I had a family, and I knew I was going to make some kind of difference in the world. And I was talking in a stadium full of people. And I came back to my body, and this 15-year-old kid, like not, I don't know, just feeling so much shame and worthlessness, and seeing that and knowing that was my future, like it was the most beautiful experience like I could ever imagine. And the feeling, I felt it go through my whole body, and I started to like kind of freak out, and I went running inside and found my mom, and I was like, did this guy drug us? Like I was super like freaked out, and she was like, go back inside, like go wait for me. And I was like, okay. I literally thought he like drugged us or something. But so we're driving back to uh, Beaver Lake. It's called. It's a res in northern Alberta, and then it was like quiet and it was dark. And I remember we're on this long dark highway, and there's like these pine trees. And I asked my mom like, "What happened? How come I feel so good? Like what's going on?" And she told me, "Never forget this, my boy." She said, "Our people are here first, and every time I tell this story, I cry." She said, "Our people are here first, and we have this gift where we can heal ourselves." She said, "Never forget that, my boy." She said, "Our people were here first." And so that was my like kind of spiritual awakening. I was 15 years old, and it's not like I was immediately a good person after that. I was still bad. I was still getting kicked out of every high school,
Mhm.
but that always stayed in the back of my mind that I like had this cool future to look forward to, right? And so when I was 18 years old, my mom had a cancer scare, and I went to Oskayak High School at the time, and they had sweat lodges, and that's where I met this elder for the first time, and he ended up adopting me as his son. His name was John Sugar, and he was a medicine man. And he told me that I could Sundance for my mom, and that would like help her with her cancer. And I didn't know what Sundance was, and so I was like, sure, I'll do anything to help her. And so I danced for the first time. And when I went to go visit my mom at the hospital, they said it was a misdiagnosis and that she didn't have cancer and that she was going to be fine. And so I was like, oh, wow, like Sundance really works. Like, oh my God.
Mhm.
And so, like, from that day forward, I kind of committed my life that I was going to Sundance for the rest of my life, even if nobody's sick. Like, somebody out there is sick, and I would keep doing it for as long as I can. And so that was, um, yeah, I'm 31 years old now. I dance every year. It's the most important part of my life. And to me, I owe all of my success to our ceremonies, to our culture, to our, um, yeah, just our way of life, really. Because once I started practicing those ceremonies, that's when my whole life changed. And it was like miracle after miracle after miracle. And like all of my dreams coming true, being able to like financially take care of my family, pull them out of poverty. My mom was an alcoholic for my entire life, but like today, I think she's like 8 years sober. My sisters both went to university, got degrees, and it just feels like life is such a miracle. It's a beautiful dream just because of those ceremonies. And in my mind, that's what they're there for. And I don't think enough of our people realize how powerful they are and how important they are to like just live a good life, you know, and to achieve all the dreams you want, and for healing as well. Like when our people are sick, like those sweat lodges are our hospitals, right? We have medicine for a reason, and it works.
Mm.
And so I think the more we can kind of wake up and come home to our ceremonies, the better off our people are going to be.
And you didn't grow up with ceremony?
No, I've never grown up with ceremony. It wasn't until, um, yeah, like 17, 18, like went to my first sun dance. I went to a feast when I was younger, but I really didn't know what I was doing. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I had no idea. I feel like I wasn't respectful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people who are in the city,
In the
who do
city,
feel disconnected from their culture?
Um, I felt the same way. Like I never had connection to my culture. Like thinking of having like my own elder or a sweat or a Sundance or something to go to was not possible for me because we were in the hood, had no money, had no access, didn't know anybody who was cultural. But if like what I did is I prayed for it. I remember the day I laid in bed crying, looking at the ceiling and telling God, like, I want my life to change. And literally the next morning was when I moved to Beaver Lake and got jumped and had that spiritual awakening. So it's like, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Cause like, if you're asking for like, oh, I want like this beautiful life or whatever, sometimes it's like a really hard road to get there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but I would say to people, like, pray for it
yeah.
and
Mhm.
just believe in your prayer and also put in the work. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who want to reconnect, but then they'll say, oh, well, I didn't grow up with that. I don't know anybody. And then they leave it at that because it's sacrifice. It's not a joke. Like you actually have to try really hard. And those
Mhm.
relationships with those elders aren't going to come to you. You have to go put yourself out there. And it's not easy to build a genuine relationship with an elder that's going to teach you our way of life. It's not owed to you, but you owe it to yourself to really put in the work to go and make those relationships and to find people because it's out there. It's waiting for you. But it's like, I don't know, pray for it, put in the work, it'll happen.
Mhm. I like that, put in the work
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes people also it's like they're waiting,
Right.
you know?
Well,
They pray and then they're like, "If creator wanted me to, I would," or "He'll give it to me when it's my time."
mhm.
But like you said, I think, like, if you're gonna be great, he gives you opportunities to become great,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
for
like
sure.
without the action, prayer doesn't always work.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Like I like you if you're praying for something and like you're given an opportunity but it's scary, it's going to make you uncomfortable, like you kind of have to embarrass yourself a little bit to like go out of your way and talk to people, then maybe that's the price you pay to because what's standing on the other side of that discomfort or that vulnerability or that embarrassment could be like the most beautiful life you could ever
Mm,
imagine, right? It's worth it. It's worth it to really put your faith into like creator and to like find ceremony and an elder you can trust. Um, there's no, like, price tag you can put on it, and um there's no equivalent to, like, what we can offer as opposed to, like, what's waiting out there for us. Like, yeah, I feel like the situation that I went through, in Beaver Lake where, like, I got jumped on the school bus, like, if I had to go through that over and over and over again, like, the worst things imaginable, like, just to live, like, this life, um, like, I feel like I would because, like, the reward of, um, just seeing your family heal and happy
Mhm.
and safe and having a home for the first time. Like, there's nothing that compares. And it's my belief that, like, if you use our ceremonies and our culture properly, like, it's like you can make anything happen.
So this mindset that you have, like you're you're clearly a very strong-minded person, you know? Uh, where do you think that came from? Because you probably had it the whole time, but it was just maybe buried somewhere.
Mhm.
Or do you think you didn't have it when you were young?
That's a really good question. I ask myself that a lot. There are times when I think that I was born with it because what I'm told from my family is that my great grandfather that passed away shortly after I was born, his name was Eli Bear. My family says that he used to dream about me and that he said that I was going to be like a spiritual person and a leader and I was going to help our family. And that he even said I was going to be a lawyer and like a chief at some point. Just like
Mhm.
he would tell my family stuff like that. And then he told my mom before he passed away that he needed to keep me. And I remember there was bags of candy under my bed, and my whole family said like, "Oh, you were so spoiled with your Japan Eli because of the he had candy under your bed." But I found out later in life at a Sundance, I had a dream that there was these little people, and I actually lived with little people in my Japan's house when I was a baby, and that candy was for them. So I could have been born with it because my great grandfather kind of dreamed about me, but I had no idea growing up until ceremony. That's when I kind of like I guess my spirit woke up and I
Mhm.
was able to really understand who I am. And it keeps evolving too. Like I think as you keep growing in ceremony, you also like evolve like spiritually, right? And you find out new cool things about yourself that you didn't know. It's really cool.
Mm. And how do you like law?
Um, I found my own path in law. So I'm not like licensed with the Law Society. So I specifically work with nations to try and develop our own laws and legal systems. And it's hard to do that if you're governed by Canada's like law society, right? Because they're the ones who make the rules and say who
Mm.
can practice law and who can't. At some point in the future, what I would like to see for our people is we have our own legal system, our own justice system, our own courts and tribunals and judges and laws and law enforcement. There's a lot of tribal nations in the United States that actually already have that and have been and had those things since the 1970s. And so I actually see a similar future for our people. However, there are some things I would like to change, being more based on our traditional values and laws and teachings and language, and not so much mimicking the Canadian legal system
Mhm.
because their system is a toddler. It's a newborn baby compared to our legal systems and our way of life. And that goes the same for like Canada and its governance. Um, our way of life is very um, like sacred and important. And I believe that when we kind of go back to that way of life and understand those laws, then we're going to see a big difference.
Mm. So how do you balance the Western world and your culture? Like how do you bring those two together? How do you balance them? How do you it's so tricky.
Mhm. It's interesting. When I first started like learning my culture, I was so proud. I would wear ribbon shirts all the time. I would wear like beadwork and just everything and just so like Nietzsche and
Yeah.
and over time, um, when I started to learn more about our culture and just it became ingrained like inside of me. Like it's who I am now. I'm so connected to like my spirit helpers, to my ancestors, to my grandfathers, to my guardian angels. It
Mhm.
feels like I don't really need to like perform as much. Like don't get me wrong, like, I love that when our people are really proud of themselves and express themselves. However, um, it just feels like it's in here and it's never gonna change. And my spiritual connection that I have, I feel like I've earned it after, like, a
Mhm.
lifetime of resilience and overcoming struggle and all that stuff. And, like, I've earned this connection that I have with the creator, and I feel like because of that, I don't really worry about like the other world too much, like Canada and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. So I think that exact thing is what keeps people stuck sometimes,
Mhm.
you know? They like people get
Mm.
worried how they look,
Mhm.
like even the performative, you know?
Right.
For for you, like what does that mean to you? Like being a performative performative Indian.
I think it's a part of our growth. It's a part of our it's like a journey that we're on, right? Because I was at that stage too where I just wanted to perform and like just show the world like, I'm so proud to be like Nakio. And I still am, but it's like, I don't know, it's on the inside now. And there's a lot of people out there who are still like performing and maybe they'll perform their whole lives and I'm proud of them. Like I always
Mhm,
support our people. I want us to go back to our culture. I want us to go back to ceremony, but I do want us to do it authentically, right? I
mhm.
don't want us to do it because of profit. Like they're going to make some money from dancing around on TikTok or from like selling our culture in some way. Like I just feel like you could be robbing yourself of something that is so sacred and deeply like important, like that relationship with the creator, like first and foremost, right? And so that's what I encourage our people to do. And how they express that is totally up to them. If they want to like be performative, then yeah, I support it.
So how would you balance? Because one of the thoughts that comes to my mind often is, like when I think of uh the indigenous population, right? It's I don't know what like 1% of the world, 2% of the world, pretty low, right? So then when we talk about um living indigenous culture, how do you think that when people want to go out into the world, you know it's such a different lifestyle than how the rest of the world operates.
Right.
So then how do you navigate that? How do you navigate living the way your culture is built, and then also wanting to do well world in the world?
Right.
How do you balance those two?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is a struggle, living one, like when I hear people talk about um you know even like derogatory, like people looking down on native people for being lazy, for being whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's just like clearly they don't understand, like you're looking at it from this capitalistic Western world that not everybody lives in.
Mhm.
You go to a different country and they don't live that way.
Right.
So you would call that whole country lazy, you know? But it's like, how do you balance that? Like, how do you navigate this system we're in and most of the world's in? And then if you want to see the world.
Right. Yeah. So the way I see it is that when you are deeply ingrained in our culture and who we are as Nehiawak or Métis or like as an Indigenous person, um, what that really means is being human. It's being like human before colonization, before capitalism,
Mhm.
before everything got so messed up, right? Because even white people at one point, maybe they had similar indigenous values, right? Maybe they lived off the land and had um, a a natural kind of way of life, right? And so, in my mind, what we're doing as Indigenous people is we're teaching the world how to be human again. We're reminding them. And so, when I'm out in the world, when I'm in Los Angeles, New York, Paris, London, and I'm meeting people, um, I'm never ashamed of who I am because it just feels like we hold this wisdom as indigenous people and we're teaching somebody like that forgot who they are. And so to me it's the most beautiful powerful blessing to be indigenous because we have this connection to the land. And if the rest of the world doesn't figure out their own connection to the land, like they're gonna die. Like this
Mhm.
world, humanity is not going to make it without our knowledge, without our way of knowing. And so I think that the more that our own people can start to wake up, and we'll be able to wake up the rest of the world as well.
Have you been to a community where you were like, man, these people almost have it figured out?
Like an indigenous
Yeah,
community.
indigenous or maybe not.
Yeah. When I was younger, or not when I was younger, I think I was about 20, I went and visited Alexander First Nation, and that's where my ceremony family is. But I just seen a lot of like young men, like guys our age, and a lot of them were like speaking Cree, and they just lived their life like traditionally in ceremony. Like they knew what they were doing in the sun dance and the sweat lodge, and I was so amazed, like blown away, like how young men could be like living, breathing their culture like that. And so that remains my ceremony family like today. Like they really, really inspired me to think that maybe all of our nations could be that way, where we're all kind of oskape osak, that we know our roles in the community. We're all participating in our ceremonies because like those ceremonies they're healing, they're gonna
Mhm.
really like help save our people. And so I think Alexander was one of the most biggest inspirations for me when it comes to like the way we should be living as a people.
Where is that?
It's just north of Edmonton, about 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly my my favorite thing about going to communities and even my indigenous side, like how important family is and community is, and how everything is affected as a whole that the Western world just like doesn't understand.
Hmm.
Even when I think about my kids, I'm like, man, you guys could live with me forever. You know, like we could work as a team forever. You
Yeah.
know, like let's be a community of our own forever. Like we'll help each other.
Yeah.
Like the whole like when you're 18, you're out, you're on your own. You got to start all over again. And then when the next generation's 18, they got to start all over again. It's such an odd concept.
Yeah.
It's like we could just work together and build a mini community or a big community. You know,
Yeah.
if I had enough friends who wanted to build an acreage and we could just all work as a unit, I would do that.
Same. I think there's a lot of people out there that are thinking that same thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a collective consciousness. Like, we're all kind of sharing these same thoughts. And as time goes on, like, it's getting like raised. We're all thinking like higher level things now. And it's things like capitalism that are trying to keep us boxed into literally just make us slaves to the system
Mhm.
where we're always profiting for some corporation that doesn't care about human life. They just want
Right,
profit, right? And they have monopolies over like every area of business. So it's not even fair. It's like a sociopathic, um, crazy system that just has no regard for human life, and it just wants to keep profiting until it eventually eats itself, I guess. And so, like, a lot of our people are waking up, like, even like non-natives are waking up. Like, you see it
yeah,
every day, like on the like Joe Rogan podcasts or any other podcast for that matter. Like, the way people are talking now, they're saying like the system's really fucked up and like we need to change it, right? And they're thinking of ways to get out, right? So I think we're all sharing those same thoughts right now because we know that like something needs to change and it's probably going to be our generation to do it.
right. Yeah, I think that's one of the like internet and social media and stuff gets a bad rap all the time. But the good thing about it is that it has connected the world.
Right.
So now we can see if these rich corporations aren't doing all these things and nobody sees anymore. And they
Hmm.
just could control the whole world without anyone ever knowing. Now it's like everything is kind of out there. And everyone can see how money is just freaking running. It's wild. It's actually scary. I try not to dive down those paths,
Yeah.
but sometimes like my boxers that I coach, they'll come in, they'll be like, "Did you see this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No," and then it's just on my mind, and then I'll like dabble, and I'm just like, "Oh man, this is terrifying."
Yeah. I think it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. Like, I
Yeah,
think we have a really tough few years ahead of us. And I was told, like, in our ceremonies that right now we need to kind of try to limit the the scary stuff that we're looking at
right.
and just look at what's right in front of us, like our families, our like communities, friends, loved ones, because that's what's really gonna like feed us and keep
Mhm.
us safe and like help us because like we could look at the bad stuff that's going on like all day, but if we're not helping it, then what's the point, right? We're just
Yeah,
hurting ourselves. So I think that we're in for a ride for the next few years, and it's going to be um, best to just try to focus on ourselves and bettering ourselves and being with our families.
yeah. That's that's. I like that because that it is. That's what I try and do.
Yeah.
I'm just like I just gotta build these freaking kids to be strong, competent people
Hmm.
with whatever the world looks like when they get to that age. They have to be able to handle it,
Right.
and be happy. So I
Hmm.
just want to show them happiness, and I don't want to be freaking just like putting these negative things on them all the time.
Yeah. Oh
We're
no.
all gonna die. We're all like run.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I just I just try not to watch any news, to be honest.
Yeah. I had a vision one time. I was really upset because there were some things that I wanted to do in the world. Like I wanted to drive NASCAR. I wanted
Oh,
to,
really?
yeah, I want to build a school like for our people, like a full immersion Cree school where we just teach kids ceremonies. I want to build like group homes for youth and again like full immersion Cree, teaching them ceremonies and giving them a family and love. And when I was looking at the news and just looking at like, oh, maybe the economy is going to crash, there's going to be civil war or something like that. Maybe I'll never get to do those things. And I ended up having a dream that I was shown um, this. It was called the Creator's Hand. It's really hard to explain, but I was shown something that was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's like almost impossible to explain, but it looks like a bunch of galaxies like put together. And I was told that when creation happened, people call it the Big Bang, and our people have our own creation stories. There was an angel that was talking to me and told me that creation never ended and it's happening right now. And this angel told me we don't know where we're going. And that was kind of scary to me. I'm like, you got your angel. How do you not know where we're going? Can't you see the future? And this angel said, no, the future hasn't been created yet. And that you're creating it right now. And that everything that you think about, everything that you say, and everything that you do is going to determine what future we're going into. And so they told me, like, I need to be careful how I think, be careful with things I say, and be careful with things I do because we're creating this reality together. And so there's a reason why, like, the news is always trying to scare people and it's always trying to make us think of the worst possible outcome, the worst possible future, because that is what keeps us under their control, under this like capitalist system, keeps us slaves to that system. And so it's more courageous of us to try to think of a better future that, you know, maybe something better is coming instead of all of the negativity, right? Maybe there is a really beautiful, bright future that's like just around the corner. And if enough of us think that way, then we actually have the power to create that future just with our minds. And so that's the vision that I had. And so yeah, I wasn't scared after that. I was like, well, maybe I will drive NASCAR.
You like driving fast?
um, I don't know. I think so. I just need to try it. Yeah, I was on the treadmill one day and I was like, it just came to my mind. I was like, okay, I really need to drive. I want to drive NASCAR, but we'll see.
Man, one of my friends, he just bought a Porsche maybe 2 years ago. I went in there with him once, and man, he was driving like a psychopath. I'm like, I'm never going in there with you again.
Oh my
I
god.
cannot go fast.
No.
No.
Aw.
I'm like, I can just feel it in my stomach. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
But
Maybe I do like to go fast then. 'Cause I think the fastest thing drove was a Corvette, and it was like downtown LA and on the freeways. It was a lot of fun.
that's wild. And you can drive fast in America, eh?
You
Like some of
can. It's
this,
so different from
yeah.
Canada. Like 130 kilometers is
And
like
then people
there.
are still flying by you.
Literally, it's
Yeah,
actually kind of scary.
yeah. That's wild. Do you get? I was gonna ask you. You dream lots.
I do. So like 2 years ago, I was officially told that I was psychic by my adopted mom. She's like full on powerful psychic. She does readings for people. And 2 years ago, she told me that like I'm psychic and that she has to start training me. And then I started to have like these like dreams and like messages. And it's, I've been learning how to practice and like how to like strengthen it. But yeah, so it's kind of new for me. But I'm kind of learning how to live with it now.
Hmm. So when you have dreams, do you have people you ask questions to about them, or do you just try to interpret it?
Yeah, I have a teacher. So
Okay.
ever since I was 18, when I went to my first sweat lodge,
Mm.
that guy became my teacher, and he died when I was 23. A year after he died, he came to me in a dream and he told me who my next teacher was going to be. And so the next day, I moved to Edmonton from Saskatoon, and I asked that guy, his name's Fred Campio, to be my teacher. And so he's been my teacher ever since. And so I'm always guided in our ceremonies. I don't make up stuff. I don't like pretend.
Right.
Everything that I share comes from the people who taught me. And if you know any spiritual leaders, like they need a teacher to train them, right? Like that's just how it works. And that's how it's worked forever. Like every spiritual person out there has had a mentor who's taught them like how to kind of develop their abilities. So luckily, my teacher, whenever I have dreams, I'm able to share with him and get interpretations. But it's actually 50% of the time now, I'm actually better at interpreting my own dreams. So it's, yeah, I'm getting better at it.
So it's I I never dream.
Really?
No. And I have no idea why.
Wow.
Like sometimes I'll have like every once in a while, but sometimes it'll be like over a year.
Hmm.
Like right now, I can't remember the last time I had a dream.
Right. Yeah. So you are dreaming. You're just not aware of it. And so it's your awareness that you need to kind of like tap into and start to
Mm.
think about. Have you ever meditated?
I've tried,
You tried?
but I feel like I'm doing it because people say I should.
Um, you said you run.
Yeah.
That even that I can't meditate because my ADHD is too bad,
Mm.
but I was told that running is also a form of meditation. And so it's just focusing on something that is positive. Like tomorrow for your run, maybe put some tobacco out, and before your run, or while you're running, just focus on that awareness and prayer, and just start to kind of meditate while you're running, and think about expanding your awareness a little bit, because that's all it is in your dreams. When you remember a dream, it's because your awareness was there when it happened. And without your awareness, you don't exist. Like imagine if you were like blacked out, right, and didn't remember a thing of what happened in a certain situation. It's almost like you weren't even there,
Right.
right? And in some way, yeah, you weren't there because your awareness wasn't there. And that's why when you are dreaming, it feels like real life,
Mm.
because it technically is real life, because that's where your awareness is. So it's just meditation, but other forms of meditation work too. For me, I run, um, and working out could also be meditation, but just working on that awareness and strengthening it. It's like a muscle.
Hmm.
But you can start to remember your dreams because you'll just be aware when you're in them.
It's man, it's so interesting that you say that because I always tell people describe it like for me, sleeping is like time travel because I just wake up and it's later.
Hmm.
It's like if I slept for 8 hours. It's just like now it's just 8 hours later. It's like a blackout,
Hmm.
just how you said. And then my issue with running too is I always have to run with people.
Oh, really?
Like if I had to run by myself, I wouldn't go
Mhm.
because me too. I get so bored,
Yeah.
or like I'm just always like I'm just like thinking of my feet and then thinking of my knee. Like I'll feel something in my knee, and I'm just like I'm so bored.
Mhm.
So I always need somebody to talk to
Yeah.
or listen to a podcast or something.
Right.
And it's hard. It's if I drove somewhere to run and I didn't bring my headphones, I wouldn't. I would go back home and get my headphones.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that boredom, getting past that boredom is the awareness part.
right.
That's what sucks. And
Unfortunately, yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah,
I'm guilty of it too. Like
yeah.
once I get bored, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like whatever, I'm doing something else. Um, yeah, but unfortunately, yeah, get through the boredom, and then like there is like awareness there,
Mm,
and just start like asking yourself questions that you never asked yourself before. And the thing is, like, believe it or not, if you ask yourself a question and like it could come later on, but you're gonna get that answer. And your spirit is so powerful. You already know, like, literally every question, and so or every answer. And so, like, at some point in your life, like, whenever you go to bed, like, ask yourself something. Ask yourself something about yourself that you don't know. Your spirit is so powerful, like, eventually you're gonna get that answer. Yeah, but it could just take some time. It's practice.
And then another thing you said a couple of times was uh, talk about angels.
Mhm.
What is an angel to you?
So, I have, like, a lot of guardian angels, and, you do too. Sometimes, like, they'll talk to me. I was, at Coachella with my friend, you interviewed him.
Connor.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And, I don't remember saying this, but I told him there's, like, a whole bunch of, like, angels around you, and I told him exactly, like, what he needed to hear, and that, literally after telling him that, it kinda, like, changed something in his mind and, like, changed his life. Like, I remember seeing, like, almost 100, like, angels around him, and I was like, "What the hell?" Never seen that before. And they look like stars, like looking at the night sky, but imagine it's like right in front of you. And so, yeah, I was like, why are there so many angels in front of you? Like, this is crazy. And so, like, once I told him that, it was like his life just changed because he was able to think positively. And those angels were able to help his positive thinking, like, just make life better in a way. And they were waiting on him because, like, he was just stuck in like a bad mood, I guess. So everybody has angels. And getting to know them, I think, is really important for you because they're here to help, right? They're waiting to help you if you ask them or even believe in them and have that relationship uh, with them. I think that's like one of the key, most important parts of our job on this earth is to get to know our spirit and in turn get to know like our relationships with the spirits around us. So yeah, in my language, my name is Wapastim Kaok Doti Tsagastunuk Napeo, and that means the white horse is coming from the east. There's deeper meanings to my name, but it's actually a Pegasus. Like that's what my spirit looks like. And I have like every tattoo on my body is one of my guardian angels. There's like a lot of horses, there's a lot of thunderbirds, there's a bear, um, and getting to know like who they are, it really helps you in your life. There was one time in law school, I had three final exams. One was a 6 hour exam, an 8 hour exam, and another 6 hour exam, and they're timed. You're timed, so you gotta write really fast. And so before the 8 hour exam, I couldn't sleep, and I was like, "Oh my god, if I can't sleep tonight, I'm gonna fail the exam. I'm gonna drop out of law school." And so before I went to bed, there was a braid of sweetgrass on the kitchen table, and I went and I lit that sweetgrass, and I talked to it. I said, "Wika Squino is his name. Grandfather, can you help me? I'm probably going to fail this test tomorrow because I can't sleep and I'm going to drop out of law school. And if you don't help me, like, I don't know what else to do." And so that was it. I went to bed. And in the middle of the night, I got frozen and I could see a rattle on top of my head, and the wall was right here. I was home alone, and I could hear like my grandfather like above my head, and he was doctoring me and helping me fall asleep. And I ended up passing that exam. I ended up passing law school, and it was because of my relationship with that sweetgrass that I was able to like accomplish that. People don't realize how powerful our culture, our ceremonies, our medicine is they see sage and they just think it's a plant. They don't know that's an angel like waiting to help them and make miracles happen, right? Same thing with the tobacco. Same thing with the cedar. Like all of our medicine that's out there, it's an actual spirit. It's an angel that God put here in order to help you live the best life possible.
Man, that's you're awesome, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
Yeah. That's so that's powerful, man.
Thank you. I don't claim any of this knowledge or anything. It's stuff that's always been there. I'm just helping people look in the right direction, right? And I owe everything to my teachers
Mhm.
for helping me understand. Um, yeah, it's if there's one thing I could leave with people today, it's like go to ceremonies and learn as much as you can. um, you just don't know, and I can't stress enough like how big, powerful, amazing, how much love is like in those ceremonies and how it can just totally change your life for the better and
Mhm.
your family and maybe even like your bloodline, right? Like maybe your future generations too will like benefit because of you were able to heal and find something bigger than you to
Mhm.
live for.
Yeah, I can see like well for one how you describe things and how you talk about things, I can like see it as you're saying it. You're very good at I don't even know what the word is for it, but how you explain it, I can just like see it playing in my head as you're saying it. So you're very easy to listen to, you know? And secondly, as you're saying it, I can just see like the gratitude you have for it.
Right.
You know, I can just see it on your face as you're saying it, like
Yeah.
like that it's a part of you,
Mhm.
you know, and it makes me want to learn. Yeah. So
Yeah.
good job.
Thank you.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I what other questions do you have?
You just quit quit talking about me.
Mhm.
Getting shy.
Mhm.
No, that's really powerful stuff, man. Like really I don't want to say it gets deep, but like it's almost like it should just be, you know?
That's what I'm saying, it's literally human.
Right.
It's human, it's what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be living and talking. And like there's so many people out there in the world like that are looking for this and they're doing crazy things trying to find it, you know?
Hmm.
Um and we're so blessed to be where we are because we have it here. Um yeah, we're just really, really blessed. Our ancestors were able to protect like what little ceremonies and culture and language we had left through
Right.
like residential schools and um, everything. And the other thing I wanted to say is that like all of us have those spiritual names. Like my spiritual name, like White Horse, like you have one too. Everyone listening has one. They just don't know it yet. The creator already has a name for you. The creator knows you as something else, doesn't know you as your English name, your colonized name. There is an identity that you have that goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, all the way to your ancestors, right? To the beginning of time, because your spirit can never die and has always existed. And so that spirit has a name. And in our language, the creator, they already have that name for you and they already have your guardian angels who are with you. And it's just about like learning like your identity and building that spiritual foundation to give you the tools in your life to um, just make it the best it could possibly be, and then to teach it and to share that with everybody, with your kids, with your friends, with with everyone.
Mm. So when you're in these rooms, with these very political rooms, there's probably a lot of things happening that, don't represent what you're talking about at all,
Yeah,
you
that's true.
know? So how do you handle those situations? Or how do you try and bring that humanity to the room without like, hey, you should be like this, and
Yeah.
just kind of like doing it in a natural way?
When I was younger, I was very outspoken. I would like speak out at a chief's assembly, at the Assembly of First Nations, or here at FSIN. And those are the kinds of things that I would talk about. Um, it got me into a lot of trouble because of how outspoken I was against chief and council, against any kind of like authority. And what I found was that um, as even though these people are making a lot of mistakes and I don't like what they're doing, our people are the ones who put them there.
Mm,
Why did they put them there? Were they all just bribed? Were they forced? Did somebody have a bow and arrow to their head and say, you better vote for them? I don't think so. I think that our people put the leaders in that they are ready for better or worse. And who am I to judge what stage of healing our people are at? So if there's a leader who is making a lot of mistakes, like if they're not asking for my advice, I can't give it. I can like try to influence these rooms, but for the most part, I feel like our people still have so much healing to do. It's when our people start to heal, we're going to see more changes in leadership because they're going to be ready for better leadership. They're going to be ready for like that spiritual leader, right?
mm,
If I ever ran for chief, I would be eaten alive by our people because there there's still so much healing to do, right? I have a lot of friends that are chiefs, and it's crazy the rumors that get started about them. Picture the worst thing you could ever say about somebody, and then like times that by 10. Like that's every leader, not
mm,
just like the ones who are corrupt, but even the good ones. Like people who put their whole heart into their work and just want to make a difference, like they all get just torn to shreds because of the dysfunction and the trauma that our people carry. And it's not their fault. It's literally not their fault. Like the amount of awful things that happen to our people in residential schools. I've read hundreds of residential school files, and every single one was the same, where they were tortured, they were abused in every way. When they go home, they have no idea how to love, how to be a parent, how to like have a healthy home. And that happened to all of our parents, literally every single one of our parents. Their ability to love and to have a family, to be a mom, to be a dad, to be a grandpa, to be a grandmother, all of that was taken from them, like completely. And so our generation is finally trying to get that back, and it's hard. Like we go through a lot of shit, right? But
mhm,
we're finally relearning how to have a family and how to be loved and love our children, how to be a mom, how to be a dad. And so even though it's not our people's fault, it's still our responsibility to find that healing. And so currently where our people are at, in terms of like the political realm, we still have a long way to go. I think it might be our grandchildren where we really start to see healthy leadership, healthy systems, our own laws, our language is going to come back, our own healthcare systems, our own education systems, our own justice systems. It's going to be a very different world in the next 50 years. And so, yeah, politics is really, really, it's a scary place.
Yeah. Mm. That's it's it's nice to see though. It's nice to see like someone with your mind in there,
Mhm.
representing good, So
Yeah. There's only so much you can do when you're not elected, but you can do a lot. Like if you are able to make relationships with the chiefs that are out there and
right.
um like you can make a difference. You can like I've seen um one chief's resolution result into like the First Nations health ombudsperson office be created, where now we have like this government or our government watchdog like advocating for our people that are discriminated against in the healthcare system. Like I've seen actual change happen with the short time that I've been involved in politics. So you can make a difference. My only issue is that it's just taking so long for our people to heal. And I'm not trying to judge them for that, but it's just a process. And I'm impatient, I guess. I really
Right.
want to see like a difference right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when you talk about like about probably be our grandchildren, how does that make you how does that sit with you that you might not see the change?
Honestly, I think we will see a little bit of a change.
Like the
Um,
beginnings of it
yeah,
starting to turn?
I I think it is gonna be my lifetime. We're gonna see the fall of the chief and council system. Like
Mm,
the anything like Indian Act, I think it'll be my lifetime. Those things are all going to be dissolved because we're getting to this breaking point where like people are really seeing like holy crap, like these systems are not working. Unfortunately, they're blaming our people and saying it's the individual's fault why these systems aren't working, but they don't realize that the system was actually built that way, that the Indian Act was created to breed corruption. And if you put any other people or government in with that system, like it's going to be the same outcome. You look at any government where it's just like total control, no enforcement of laws, that's never going to work, right? And so why would people think it's going to work for a reserve? It doesn't.
right.
Yeah.
Well, man, this has been awesome. It's been a really cool conversation. Um, we're we're at an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, if you have any more questions, I'm happy to stick around.
Okay. I think it's like being like most of the time when I go into communities, I'm like just a guest,
Right.
you know. I've never grown up there. I was never raised. I was raised by my mom, so I was, not my indigenous side. I didn't
Hmm.
even know my indigenous side until after high school.
Hmm.
And uh then they don't practice either. Like they're
Right.
Saskatoon. Um so it wasn't until probably 6, 7 years ago that I really started learning.
Hmm.
Um, naval wellness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how like those four girls who started that.
Mhm.
Uh, they started bringing me out to do some camps and stuff, and then
Awesome.
through that, I started working with youth, and then going to ceremonies, and
Nice.
it really opened up a lot of doors. But on the governance side and the political side, I never really understood enough to, I feel like, have an opinion that
Mhm.
mattered, you know? So I was always in these communities and I would hear these debates going on.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, I don't really understand. Like, I feel like all I know is like the surface level of
Mhm.
it and not like the deeper.
Mhm.
Um, so it's nice to kind of hear some more of like what's actually going on.
Right.
Um, because like I said before, like looking from an outsider's like it's easy to judge and make these assumptions of what's going on. But as I've been there, it's not what I've been told or what I thought it was at all. You know,
Mhm.
even by my native side, who was born not on, like, they were born in the city, lived in the city their whole life. Like, they're pretty hard on their people. You
Right.
know, so that's pretty much all I ever heard growing up.
Mhm.
And then to actually now see it and just realize how uh, people just don't know what's going on. People just can't understand it. You know, it's
Mhm.
like growing up in this world that just revolves around money,
Mhm.
and now that's what you apply everything to. That's what you apply success to. That's what you apply happiness to. That's what you apply worth to.
Mhm.
And it's like those aren't even the same values. We're not even you're not even running on the same value system. You know, even I had one of my boxers from China, and he didn't speak that great of English, so he'd always bring his girlfriend so she could translate and stuff.
Right.
And I asked him why he came, like what brought him to, and that's what he said about Canadians. He said, "Oh, well, Canadians are lazy, so it's easy competition here." I was like, you're probably right. Like it's like a good point. Like your culture's probably just like freaking run. Like go 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 go, and then here we're just like chill. But you go to a different place and we're go 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 to them, and
Yeah.
it's just like these different cultures and people and
Mhm.
how you were raised, and now it's just like that's your truth now
Mhm.
to everything else, and it's so odd.
It shocked me when I went to, Las Vegas, and I remember it was, like, 6 in the morning, and there was a little girl at a hot dog stand. I think she was, like, maybe 6 years old. 6 in the morning, and this girl's, like, making hot dogs and, like, selling them. Like, what the hell? Like, it gave me a culture shock, and when I went to Mexico, then it really shook me. Like,
Mm,
as soon as they can walk and talk, they're already, like, in business, and they're selling, they're making money for their family, and, like, if they don't work, they don't eat, right? And so that really shook me and made me, like, think about, like, our own people, and, like, yes, we have it tough when it comes to all of these systems that are, like, harming us, but we also are very blessed to have a lot of the rights that we do, thanks to our ancestors and everything that they suffered for. But it was such a shock for me to see like the culture of Mexico and like
mhm,
how everybody works, like no matter what, right? And um, it's unfortunate, but it was actually intentional the way the Indian Act was imposed on our people. That there's this thing called colonial dependency where they wiped out our entire food source and then they didn't let us leave the reserve. You couldn't leave the reserve. And so we were starving to death. We starved for 150 years. We starved. And then the Indian agents would give us rations, like rotten meat. And what happened was we became dependent on those rations. If you didn't eat the rotten meat, you would die, right? And after the Indian agents and the rotten meat, then came the social assistance program, like welfare, shit like that, right? So this system of colonial dependency, it is calculated, it's real, and it's the law that governs our people like right now. So um, I feel like our people were the least lazy, like on earth at one point, like literally hunting and killing buffalo all the time.
Mhm.
Like, think about that. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we did that living off the land. Like, and how is it that in the last 500 years, all of a sudden, like, oh, you're not like powerful warriors, you're lazy bums, right? It's calculated through this system where they took our food source, they trapped us on these reserves, and now we're in this system where we depend on those rations. We're still depending on those rations, but it's just in the terms of government funding now
Right.
because like there's no buffalo, right? Our own way of life was overtaken through now colonization and their systems. So, yeah, it's unfair to call our people lazy when literally it was my parents, my mom, who was in a residential school, and you had a better chance at surviving World War II as a foot soldier than you had at surviving a residential school as a child. Like, people don't understand how vicious and violent those schools are. Um, they had the worst pedophiles running those schools, the priests, the nuns, even the nurses. I don't know how or why, but they were all pedophiles. And ask any lawyer that has ever worked on a residential school claim, they're the ones who know the truth. The survivors know the truth, obviously, but when you talk to the lawyers, I know a lawyer, he's a young white guy who's a farmer. He got so sick, he broke out into like rashes and scabs on his body because of how mortified he was after doing interviews for residential schools claims. And it changed his life because his eyes were wide open. He was like, oh, everything makes sense now. He called it, it was the perfect storm. That's what he said.
Mm.
That how horrifically like tortured our people were for 150 years. And while they were kids, they were literally children. And we still don't know the entire truth, by the way. Like, Canada did the whole TRC uh, report, and Canadians think like, oh, they were abused, but we were abused too.
Right.
Um, like literally, that's how they think, but they don't know like what actually happened in those schools, and that is the sad part, is that they don't want to know. Canadians don't want to know the truth because it was their government, it was their church, it was their God, it was their Jesus that perpetuated the worst harm you could ever do to a child. And that's the truth of our country and our people. And so in my life, I don't blame my mom for being an alcoholic for her entire life because I don't want to imagine the things that happened to her in that school. I don't want to imagine things that happened to her parents in that school, right? My mom has like all of these mental health issues today, and I want to spend the rest of my life like making her comfortable in whatever she wants to do because of how hard the life she has already lived. So I think about all of our people now that went through those schools and those systems, and um, I don't blame our people if they want to drink their life away
Mhm.
because of what they went through. I don't want them to.
Right.
But like anybody in that position, like would be in the same place, if not worse.
Mhm.
And it was really strange when I was reading I read over 100 cases. One of the things that was like really weird to me was that they all had the same nightmares. Everyone had the same nightmares about getting chased, about getting drowned, about getting killed. Like as a kid, they all had the same nightmares. That really freaked me out. Like how there was uh such a pattern with every case and every child that was like in those schools. And to think how close to home it is, like my mom, right?
Mhm.
'Cause I think about like the things I went through as a kid and just how that is so connected to like these schools and this legacy
Right.
of this government that wanted to destroy our people.
I think, you probably have a lot of, like, freedom, like, mental freedom because even talking about your mom, like, your ability to forgive and see the bigger picture like that,
Hmm.
uh, that's a good quality. But, like, it probably gives you a lot of, like, that's probably not the only place you do that, you know? I feel like if I do that for, uh, everyone,
Hmm.
you can kinda see, understand where they've been and not take things personally, and yeah, I think that's when you think of, trauma and it being, generational,
Hmm.
do you think that's do you think the generational part is, like, in internal, or do you think it's because those systems are still in place, or they haven't changed enough, and that's why it's generational?
I think it's both because the systems are still harmful. And if you
Mhm.
want me to explain a little bit of that, like the education system is still harmful for our people because a classroom is a space to colonize. Like
Mm, right,
it's just residential schools without all the abuse and pedophilia, and that's literally like school. Unless you have like cultural schools, obviously, like Oskayak, they were the ones that took me to sweats and taught me Cree and all that stuff.
right.
The healthcare system, like we're told to keep our people out of hospitals in Saskatchewan. Like if I have a relative that needs like medical help, we send them to Edmonton, we send them to Alberta. Like these healthcare systems are some of the worst like in the country, specifically for our people, for native people. And so it's the same thing with the justice system. 90% of the women incarcerated in this province are all Native women, and they make up maybe 20% of the entire population. Um, every part of this system of Canada is harming like our people, and that's a big part as to why the effects are intergenerational. And internally, the trauma that our parents and grandparents face, it's stored within their cellular memory and it's passed down to us. And it's literally living in our bodies. And that's why when we're active, like you're a boxer, I like going to the gym, that it's a physical healing that takes place. You can actually cure those traumatic memories that are stored in your body. So it is generational, both internal and external. But there's also intergenerational, like resilience too. Like these people didn't give up, even though all of that
Mm,
stuff happened. And so the way I see it is that even though our people were harmed, I think we're some of the strongest people like on earth. And it's just that spiritual part that we're missing. But that was what they wanted to kill, right? It was to kill the Indian in the child. It was to kill the spirituality. There was a reason why they banned our sun dances and our ceremonies, right? And our language. They wanted us to forget that our connection to the land so they could take it and profit from it. So um, once we have that spirituality back, in my mind, that's where the intergenerational curse is finally going to be broken, and that our children are going to be even more powerful than us. Like our children, our grandchildren, I think we take our healing as far as it can go, but they're going to run with it.
mm. I think I had a friend, she was talking about addictions, and it made me think about it differently a little bit. She was saying, like, she's kind of in the same boat, like, she doesn't blame or like people who have addiction.
Mhm,
She said sometimes that, like, that's what's keeping them alive.
mhm,
It's like if they were sober, maybe they wouldn't stay around,
right,
but they still have the strength that they want to survive.
mhm,
And this is just the way they know how right now,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I would agree. I think like addicts are sometimes the most like strongest people that exist. Like they're really powerful, strong mind, strong heart, spirit, all that. But like sometimes it is like that addiction that like is kind of helping them hang on for a little bit. And unfortunately, not everybody makes it out of that addiction.
Right.
But those that do are some of the most beautiful and powerful people alive, right? And they become advocates and they become like they help other addicts like try to get out of it as well. I never judge addicts and I don't judge homeless people. My mom was homeless when I was in high school. Like, man, she would panhandle. And I was like 15 years old, a kid in high school. Like, how do you feel if you see your mom panhandling? Like, it sucks. And you feel a lot of shame, like embarrassment. But ever since I was young, like, my mom um, was like working around like in the hood. So it was like, I was always around that lifestyle, and I was always taught never to judge homeless people, um, addicts, and I feel like it's a really beautiful way to live is to um, support people no matter where they're at in their healing,
Mm,
and not to judge them. And I literally, one of my brothers that had passed away 2 years ago, his name's Jordan Turco. He told me one time we were driving, and he was like, you know, you're one of the coolest people I know. And I was like, how come? Like, why would you say that? And he's like, I noticed that you always keep money in your truck, like like 120s, and it's literally only for homeless people.
mm,
And like I didn't like tell anybody that, but he was watching, and then he's like, I started to do that too. And I was like, oh, that that made me real happy because I was like,
mhm.
I got to um, make them think differently about homeless people. Like
Yeah,
I don't care what they're using it for, just to um, help them in whatever way that they need. Right?
yeah. That's good. Like, I think I truly believe you're a force for good, man. You are.
Thank you.
Um, Like I don't see any like you're very genuine, you're very humble, even like being in the rooms you're in
Mhm.
and having the humility to be like, I don't need to say anything. If I'm asked, I'll give my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that's very humble. You don't have the ego where you need to storm into a room and
I used to,
yeah,
but I grew out of it.
right. Um, but even for like, it's not like you're super old.
Mhm.
Would you say 31? You said
31, yeah.
so. Like you're young,
Mhm.
and to have that, like, I feel like you're right in the prime of. You should have all the ego, like. So I feel like that's like yeah, I think you're doing really cool things and in
Thank
a
you.
really good way where it's like you're gonna build communities,
Mhm.
because like givers attract givers,
Mhm.
you know? They also attract takers, but
Yep,
but
for sure.
eventually you attract enough givers that now you have like this little force of givers that can create a lot of things. So I think you're gonna do all the things you want to do. I think you're gonna create a school.
I
You're
think
gonna,
so.
yeah. I can't see how you wouldn't, just by talking to you and hearing your mindset and
Mhm.
how you go about things. You do things in a very, uh, just a good way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a someone ask me, I was speaking at a conference in Edmonton, and she asked me, she was like, "How come you're so humble?" And I was like, "Um, I'll explain it when I do my speech." And she said, "Okay." And so I was, and in my speech, the way I explained it, this is like just how I think about it, is like, imagine spending your whole life, um, wanting something. Like you want your mom to come home, you want like, um, you want a home, you don't want to be living in shelters, you just want to be safe, you want to be loved, you want like a Christmas present. Like
Mm,
imagine spending your entire childhood, like not ever once getting those things, like ever. And then it just kind of makes you feel like humility, I guess. And it's not that I regret not getting what I wanted as a kid, but it's almost like trying to find the wisdom in being thankful because, like, I know I have humility. I don't have to say that, because I was forced to. I was forced to
mm,
have humility, like, throughout my life, and it sucked, but now I get to live my life feeling, um, I don't know, just feeling that there's goodness in humility and not always getting what you want, I guess. And yeah, I guess that's kind of what I said on the mic. And I started crying when I said that because I was like, why did I just say that? Because honestly, I'll say whatever comes to my head for better or for worse. Like, you
mhm.
should see if I'm upset with somebody. The things that I come out of my mouth, like, I've said things to people, they'll still message me and be like, I'll never forget what you said to me. Like, you ruined my life. Like, things like that. But it works both ways. Like, I'll say things that make people so happy,
Right.
and just like make their lives better.
Yeah.
But it's like the ADHD in me, man. I can't like turn my mind and brain off.
Yeah. It's good though because then like it's always just like it's like being in my opinion anyways, being blunt
Mhm.
and honest, like that's the best. Even if it's not maybe coming across in a kind way,
Mhm.
it's still better than beating around the bush
Yeah.
because that just creates misunderstanding and resentment. At least now you know what you're gonna get with that person. whether it's how you want to receive it or not, it's gonna be real, you know?
Yeah, and
Because
you
sometimes people are like they try and be nice,
yeah,
which in the long run isn't kind
right.
because you're being nice for yourself and it's not to help them.
Mhm,
You know, so sometimes coming off maybe disrespectfully
mhm.
is more kind.
I agree, and I think that the more honest you are with yourself, the more you'll, see people avoid you, like,
Mm,
certain people who are, like, hiding certain things about themselves, then they'll, like, avoid you, right? Because they'll think, like, "That person's crazy," like, they're gonna say exactly what's on their mind, they're gonna, like, out me for whatever,
right.
like, I'm hiding, right? So, it's almost like a protection too because like people that are devious or hiding whatever, like they'll avoid you at all costs.
Mm,
Yeah, and the people that just like are honest with themselves and just want to like learn and grow and be happy, like those are the like, you'll find your people.
right. Wicked man. Well, um, before we wrap this up, is there anything you wanted to say or shout out or anything like that?
Mm. I'm trying to think if there's any stories that I forgot. I shared quite a few. Um, I think that's it.
well, well, this is awesome. Honestly, it was really fun. It was yeah, and like whenever you want to come back, we can do this again and again and again. And
I'd love to. I have a lot of stories. Like I gave you a little tiny bit. I wrote a book.
did you?
Mhm.
Is it out?
No, it's not out yet. I'm still like finishing the ending. I don't know how to end it because I'm like I'm still living it. So it's,
Right.
yeah. So I'm not sure. I could publish it, but I'm just waiting to figure out like a good ending for it right now.
Well, once you do, we'll display it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll toss it up here somewhere, and then we'll have you back on again, and we'll chat about it.
I'd love to. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me. It's been a slice.